Welcome to a fine gaming experience. It's Bricks here with my usual co-host.
Hey there, it's Ice once again, watching dung beetles rolling on past.
You see them rolling. And unfortunately, I promised I would be showing off that brand new fancy weapon, but I went back the next day to do the event quest, and it was no longer up, sadly.
Event quests can jump off, unfortunately, pretty quick, and I've been in that situation before.
It's okay, Fiona. We have a replacement weapon for you. It's not as good.
That's okay. Just more suffering for you. We'll all enjoy it.
Admittedly, this fight coming up would have been a lot easier with that fancy weapon. It has quite the story behind it, doesn't it?
It does. They actually ran a design contest, and it was the winner of the weapon design contest. You can see that sort of like almost tunnel-like thing on the back. That's actually an ignition engine. That's why it's called Wyverian Ignition, and it sort of charges up your shot. You hold it back, fight the engine, and drop it down. We'll see it one day, but it is absolutely gorgeous. And rarely do you ever have event quest weapons being as top-end as anything else that you can find in the game, but this is one event quest weapon which surpasses almost everything. Now, of course, Iceborne changes that, and there are certain weapons that are better for certain situations, but just top damage, it is one of the best.
It has, I think, 150 attack power higher than what I will be using, as well as a nice big sharper bar above it.
And sharpness actually constitutes damage bonuses. I think we've talked about this before, but green sharpness all the way up to white, and I think they have a new sharpness past that.
I believe so.
All of those enhance your damage by a certain percentage, so it's very, very good.
The opponent coming up actually has a huge armored head like a Triceratops, and this weapon is not sharp enough, even when fully sharp, to be able to pierce through the head. I was bouncing off during my trial run.
This is a fun matchup, though. I actually really like using the Greatsword against this specific monster. It's very much a meeting of extreme violence and aggression against extreme violence and aggression.
Very much so. The Greatsword is an interesting weapon. I can very much see why a lot of people love it and how it became the iconic weapon in the series for quite a long time.
Yep, and it's in a lot of title art, along with Rathalos, as we've talked about as being the icon monster. But one of the things that makes the Greatsword so unique is that it is all about patience and positioning. You have to make sure that you are taking your time, finding the right spots, and then going in hard on your attacks. It's slow, but it is very fun.
One thing I want to point out here too, I am taking this fight very seriously. I am using some buff items you haven't seen me use before. The Mega Armor Potion there will boost my armor for the entire fight, until I die.
Until you die. Now, did you bring... Oh, you did bring Screamer Pods. These are very useful against this specific monster, because they have a burrowing attack, and any monsters that burrow underneath the ground, the Screamers will actually bring them up out of the ground and give you a few free hits. It's not as good as a normal stun, it's not as good as a flash pod, but it's something. And it prevents you usually from taking a lot of damage.
Very much so.
For a lot of people, this or Rathalos are kind of their benchmark monsters where they hit that wall. They go, okay, I don't think I can do much more than I've done. We'll see how you fare.
Odo is one of the most aggressive monsters we met, and this one is pretty much up there for aggression as well. It combines Odo's aggression with the strength and raw power of all the other monsters we've met so far. It doesn't have any elemental gimmicks, just strength.
And funny enough, a lot of the weapons you get off it, same way. Very low affinity, extremely high damage. And a little interesting side story. There was a demo that came out for Monster Hunter. I believe they were calling it an online beta test. They were testing out the online capabilities. I played on PlayStation, and you couldn't actually do a hunt to fight this monster, but if you triggered these birds, you could create this event, and you could fight this monster. They kind of hid a little bonus fight in the middle of the demo, and most people got destroyed by it. Funny enough, the other bonus monster was Rathalos.
Huh. The two big creatures we have to take on to continue the story.
Yep, they're not optional here. Not even a little. Oh, sand in the tux. It's no good.
A little brush off and it's still sparkly and brand new. I love this intro. Diablos is kind of like part antlion almost. Does like using the sand for hiding and attacking out of.
And it can use other territories too. It loves to charge. It also has big wide sweeps. And there's actually some really cool stuff you can do if you can break the horns, but as Brix was saying, that's a little easier said than done.
Now, Diablos does have a couple interesting sets of attacks. It's got the charge, which she absolutely loves doing. She's got a double head swipe. She's got a double tail swipe. And she's got a shoulder charge into the side.
Mm-hmm.
This makes almost nowhere to stand a safe spot. The best place is to do what we call gooch combat.
Right underneath the tail is one of the better places to attack. Unfortunately, it doesn't have a lot of weak points there, but the feet are also good. Now, you're going to notice the attacks for the Greatsword. There's these setups of 1, 2, and 3. And what Brix is doing there is about the best thing you can do. That final hit, that little flip that you get after that final third hit, is the most damage that can be done, I believe, of any attack in the entire game.
The Screamer pods will just have him stuck in the sand for a little while. It doesn't take him long to pop out, and he tends to attack right after. But that shoulder charge, if you time it just right, can go through almost any move.
It gives you hyper armor, so you can't really get knocked down unless it's a 2-part hit. It also gives you a huge amount of defense against whatever attack's coming on, and it does a massive amount of KO and stun damage to the monster. Timing was a little off on that, but you can actually shoulder tackle that attack and can knock it dizzy if you time it right. It's hard to do, though.
That is one of my problems I have here, is getting that shoulder tackle timing just right.
You can only shoulder tackle out of a charge move. You cannot just shoulder tackle randomly, so you should always be charging up this attack.
You can also do it out of a roll, though. You can also do it out of a block. There's a couple different ways to do the shoulder charge, but out of a charge is the most reliable. The problem is I get a little greedy going for my heavy hits, and
now, normally you have to do 3 hits to get that combo off, but you can actually shoulder tackle out of the charge attacks, and that'll move you to the next level.
it's hard to get that timing just right.
It really is.
You're not allowed to hold the charge forever either, so sometimes you have to make the hard decision of, do I want to do a quick charge, go into a shoulder charge, back into the charge, and then do my shoulder charge to go through the opponent.
You have to be used to setbacks to play this weapon. It is unfortunately one of the hardest weapons in the game to land hits with. And I think that's why a lot of people start playing with it and then back off it after a while. Just because it's almost heartbreaking to have that true charge slash, that final hit, just miss by an inch or get knocked out of it.
One of the problems I find with the greatsword too is that it is very front orientated. There's not a lot of wide sweeps to it. You do have one wide sweep move in front of you, and you do have an upward slash, but it is very omnidirectional for your attacks. You're always going to be doing straight head-on bursts of damage.
It's very basic, and it has a lot of complexity to it, but the complexity all comes in the timing of the attacks. Ooh, now this place down here is Diablos' lair, and Diablos gained some special abilities in here because of the clouds of sand, and we'll probably end up seeing those, but they are nasty. You're using all the tools.
Yep, I am going all out against her. You might think at first this area is a good place to fight her. It's fairly wide open, but yeah, those extra attacks she gets here can be very nasty.
And you'll notice the True Charge Slash, despite the fact that your weapon isn't sharp, will always cut through and acts like it has a, like the Spirit Slash parameter. It will hit.
There are a couple moves you can do before doing the True Slash with the power-up. If you notice, every time I'm doing my Charge Blade, I'll get a red flash. You have to time the release of when you let go of your charge with those red pulses to do max damage. Instead of going for the True Slash, you can follow up your basic powered-up slash with another, I think it's the Wide Slash, and that gets a big powered-up boost.
It does. It doesn't do nearly as much, but it is a good way to get yourself out of a combo you'd otherwise be stuck in.
I think part of the trick with playing Greatsword is learning how not to be greedy for that heavy hit.
Yeah, very much so. A lot of you who are fans of the Dark Souls series, if you have played Dark Souls, I would actually attribute the Greatsword to the closest thing to strength weapons play. So your great clubs, your large clubs, a lot of those heavy swords, it feels weighty, and it is all about taking advantage of your shots. And you can block with it. It hurt the sharpness like crazy, but
it was a quicker thing to do than a shoulder charge at that point, and a little safer.
Mm-hmm.
One thing I find a little annoying too, trying to set up the shoulder charge, is Diablos' little tunneling move she's doing right here will throw you off balance like that.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not set up just perfect, that little tunneling can throw you off before you actually do your shoulder charge.
Your positioning is perfect here.
We have jokingly referred to Diablos as Karen. She is so aggressive.
Yes. He wants to speak to your manager.
She's very mad. Nothing is right for her.
Oh!
The first death of the LP. Gonna have to get a little counter going up there in the corner or something.
And now everyone knows what karting is, as we mentioned karting. Because you don't really die. You just get carried off, probably by some palicos on a cart, who dump you unceremoniously onto your head.
Very much so. They just like, you're here at your destination. Get the fuck off.
Super serial.
So, yep. I'm getting rebuffed up here, grabbing all my goodies, jumping back in.
This is very important to understand. This is one of the toughest fights in the game. Broken horns and broken tails are not something you're probably going to see happen. But you will beat this monster. Just keep trying.
I was pretty close there, too, here, and, like, I severed the tail, I broke one horn. She's not looking too healthy.
I have heard the hardest challenge against this specific monster is those who are using the switchblade, or not the switchblade, sorry, the switch axe. Because it is a extremely difficult fight. You have very few ways to dodge. You basically have to maneuver around the feet, use traps. Then again, those who use the switch axe are pretty tough people.
Yeah, I'm not looking forward to jumping into those weapons.
Especially as late in the game as you're getting into them. And those screamer pods are a big deal.
They give you a lot of openings in this fight, and you get them from killing those birds that fly around up here. It's pretty much the only creature you can get them from.
I will say, after knocking out the horns too, one of the really nice things you get out of that is more susceptibility to the head in general. It doesn't have that super armor ability once you've actually broken the horns off it.
And this is another one of those weapons that the Iceborne editions really helped it out a lot. I'm looking forward to showing Phase 2 with this one. She's kind of like a flying creature where once she decides, you know, I'm done with this, I'm just going to tunnel and get the heck out of here.
If you give her some time, sometimes she'll nap, but she's very aggressive, so you just gotta take what you get.
Karen wasn't happy with the way our hair is, you know, we're just one of those punk kids coming into her personal space and...
Wear a mask, Karen. I'm sorry, it's one of my favorite things in Monster Hunter. I absolutely love it when they swing their tails and they don't have a tail.
Yeah.
Just swinging your nub around, smacking people in the face.
At least it's not like spraying blood everywhere when that...
Yeah, this game is very cartoony for how gory it could have been.
One thing that I'm kind of surprised with her too is that she doesn't get tired out the way Odo does. She will get tired, but not nearly as much as he does. She's got a lot more endurance.
A lot of that has to do with Odo being very cowardly. And she's not really a coward. She will fight you to the end.
Mm-hmm.
Territorial to a fault.
Yeah, that's one thing with both the dragons and Diablos, is they are territorial as hell. Now, the Might Pill I'm taking right there gives me a temporary strength boost. It won't last for very long. I think it's about 3 minutes, but any little damage boost at this point is handy. And I'm using her aggression against her with the barrels.
Mm-hmm. The Greatsword is one of the best weapons in the game for a sleeping monster too, because if you can miss that first little hit of your True Charge Slash, you can actually get just the last hit off, and it does an incredible amount of damage, especially if you aid it with some barrels.
Another good block off there. The shoulder charge is the better option, but it is harder to master than just pressing the block button.
That's true. And sharpness is something, as long as you're not fighting the wrong monster, you can do without. Oh, it still hurts my heart to see every single missed True Charge.
Yeah.
You saw how much damage was taken there from that shoulder tackle? That would have bowled you over and done about double to triple the amount.
When she does that tunneling leap attack out at you as well, you don't have many options to avoid it. Doing the Superman dive off out of the way is probably your best bet. The Screamer Pods are the most effective way.
Now, special effect that Diablos has. Because of the burrowing, Diablos can actually destroy your traps from underneath. That's what happened to that poor shock trap there.
Very annoying. I wanted to capture her there, and as you can see, my timing was pretty good for it. Although slashing her as she was charging me was a pretty good finish.
I gotta say, I'm pretty impressed with your greatsword play. You seem to have a lot of the basics down, and this is another one of the weapons that I pride myself on. I'm probably, if I'd say all the weapons I play about 5 of them. This is the one I'm probably the worst at, but it's really fun. If you're just having a bad day, go fight a weak monster and smash it in the head with a giant sword. You'll feel better.
Playing Greatsword is great for just watching opponents get knocked on their ass. The amount of damage you can do is incredible, but you're going to get knocked on your ass as well. It's a very give-and-take weapon.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the mantles we get will help counter that a lot, though. The Vitality Mantle was very useful there.
There's a mantle later on that actually makes Greatsword a little bit harder to play, and I actually don't recommend. That's something we're going to find later in the game. Gives us a dodging mechanic, and it unfortunately will have you dodge instead of being able to do a shoulder tackle before you could do your perfectly timed shoulder tackle.
Because I died once there too, my reward money got cut down even with using a voucher.
A new cutscene indeed.
Having slayed the fire wyvern and the horned wyvern, proving their worth, the hunter and handler made for the ancient forest to learn the whereabouts of the fire thing.
The fire thing.
Everything was fine until the fire thing attacked. And this pretty much explains the whole story of what Zorah was here to do.
Mm-hmm.
It also hints at some stuff later on, but... because he basically came here to die. He was going to go down into the Rotten Vale and just perish down there like he was supposed to, but en route he kind of found the life stream of the island and got a little distracted by something there.
This game is long, everyone. This game is really long.
We are not even a third of the way through, and we are on episode 20.
That's not counting things like your event quests and special things, too.
Everyone, please, quiet down.
Yes, sir.
Let's review our current situation. Thanks
You're not my real dad.
to these diligent efforts, we've learned a number of things. 1. That Zorah Magdaros is heading for the Everstream. 2. That upon its death, it'll release the bioenergy it has stored. And 3. That the Everstream is connected to every corner of the new world. So, if Zorah dies inside the Everstream, it's
Basically like putting a ton of dynamite into a fault line.
Yup.
I'll tell my sister to prepare her airship. There's no time.
That's an interesting fact, too. The one researcher is related to the other researcher commission.
Blowing ourselves to oblivion is not what we're trying to do. Correct. And the whole reason we're here is to study the beast's role in the ecosystem. Not erase it from the ecosystem altogether.
Or to cook it into fine meals.
What if we tried to lure it away from the Everstream somehow?
Lure it away.
Yes, sir. I did a little digging, and the Everstream.
What if we just put like a carrot on a stick?
That's a
So if
big carrot.
we lure Zorah Magdaros out onto the open water,
We can mitigate the blast. And the bioenergy released would start a whole new ecosystem in the ocean.
To be honest, it's not a bad idea.
need I remind you, sir?
Instead of trying to
that we're
defeat
very
Zorah,
short
just
on supplies
try to
from our
lure him
own
away
production.
from the very dangerous place to
Even if we
die.
had enough supplies,
But when did the handler become so intelligent about this kind of stuff?
She had a conversation with other smarter people, like the one person living in the
Very big
Rotten Vale there.
Is that what I think it is?
Well, she was hugging them. She got all the information, you know?
Of course.
It's like the Naruto fist bump.
The exchange of power through the fist.
But with hugging.
Now we're talking. It's a ship.
That's our ultimate weapon we'll be using against Zorah, a ship.
Getting here. But we're happy you made it.
Also, please put on a shirt, by God.
Yeah, those salt-washed abs.
And a literal boatload of supplies. Not to mention a little surprise. The guild supplied us with one hell of a ship. She's armed with the latest anti-Elder Dragon weapon, a Dragonator.
That's what they could come up with.
Excellent.
Remember, these are researchers, not advertisers, folks.
Out to sea.
Well, you know, I think it'd be pretty good if we just have a whole bunch, you know, cybernetic organisms attacking the dragons. It'll work.
The Dragonator.
I'll explain the details on site. We can't
You'll be
do
dragonated.
this. We must do this. May the Sapphire Star light our way.
Can we still go? Can we just escape?
Get moving.
No? Maybe?
You guys can deal with this giant elder dragon. I'm going on vacation.
See Zorah Magdaros off. All of us.
And the music changes for all this too. We get very epic preparation music.
Oh, yeah. And I'll actually say it is it's one of the more fun missions in the game, even though it's not my style. It's just got some neat stuff, and they really do have an epic feel to it.
And this one is a little bit better than the first Zorah mission. You can tell they thought ahead a little bit more on this one.
There is some stuff that isn't well explained, so when we do that mission, I am going to make sure I explain to everybody the little nuances and certain special things you can do.
New products in stock.
Now, he's got something very important here. Getting new items is always good, but he's got the power and armor charm.
And these things are amazing. If they are in your loadout, they give you a percentage boost. I believe it's 5% to your total attack power and armor. And just as long as you have them in your loadout, you get that bonus. Even cooler, you can actually combine them with items you find off a certain monster later on and make additional versions of them. They give you the same bonus, but they allow you to stack it because you can only have one armor charm and one power charm. They only give you the chance to buy one. But when you get the next time you can upgrade it, you can only put one normally in there. This allows you to put two different things with the same bonus on them. I think it's a total of 10%. I might be wrong on the numbers, though.
Now, here's an interesting quest. She'll give us a new tool, but I have to take on the power couple.
Are you going to take on the power couple?
I am. I'm not sure if I'm going to record it, though.
Okay. It's a very interesting fight. I believe we were talking about it before. There are a lot of monsters that have territorial fights that don't like each other. Oh, the Diablo set. But they love each other, so they'll be helping out all throughout the fight.
It's one of those ones where you better make sure you bring some dung pods to distract one of them, or you're going to be in for one hell of a hard time. Having two dragons breathing fire on you is not fun.
One of the rare times they decide to give the armor set for female characters almost the same appearance as the male character. Crit draw is actually excellent with Greatsword because you're constantly putting it on your back so often. You're almost always drawing into at least one attack.
The skills on this set are really, really good. This is one of those first sets that is just boss. This and the dragon ones are really a step up from what we've seen before.
And one thing we haven't really shown, I don't think you've shown armor upgrading yet, have you?
Not yet.
So you can upgrade sets of armor, including like some of the earlier ones. Once we move to a different part of the game, we'll have to kind of upgrade our armor. There's like a finite point where it gets only so good. But once we start getting those later sets, you can upgrade your armor and keep it relevant throughout. I love the little gladiatorial helmet there.
It's not as flashy as the armor is, though, for our main characters. I was expecting a little bit more for the Palico.
No pants. Never any pants.
That's his true weapon. Those legs.
It's just for tail freedom. That's all it is.
But next time, we're going to be taking on Zorah once more. I hope this time we're a little bit more prepared. That wooden fence last time didn't do too much.
Well, we'll just have to wait and see.
So I hope you join me next time, and take care all.